Wow. I don't even know how to begin part 3 of my Lori Vallow podcast. So I'm sure anyone who's interested in this case has already heard that Chad Daybell has been taken into custody and that there's been a search on his property and that they found human remains. We don't know who these human remains belong to, but I do remember posting something on the 2nd of June, my findings from a Ouija board on the missing children, and the Ouija board said that they're not alive. The Ouija board said that the kids were very near. I said near water. I had previously said that I thought that the kids were in a wooded area among trees, woodland, grass, whatever. And, we don't know yet who the human remains belong to. But logically, unless he's a serial killer, logically, I would think that even if they are not the children, it wouldn't set a good, it wouldn't be a good sign of what can happen, of what could have happened to the children. This is something that I just can't get my mind around right now. I've been waiting for more information, and that's why I haven't done a podcast on Lori. I've been doing other podcasts and I've been uploading other videos because I still felt that there was a lot more to know before I did another one. I'm speechless right now, as anyone can imagine, because this means that this guy, Chad Daybell, is a lot more dangerous than we could ever have imagined. Are these human remains, is it possible that they have nothing to do with him? Am I jumping the gun? Are we jumping the gun? Are we jumping to conclusions? Everyone deserves their day in court. Everyone, to an extent, deserves a presumption of innocence, but there's just too many dead bodies and too many missing people in association with Chad and Lori. And, I don't believe in these kind of coincidences. So even if they are not the children, then it's not a good sign. Maybe this guy is a lot worse than what we think he is. So he is currently in custody. And I hear that there's going to be a press conference. I don't know if that's true. And I hear that there's been a notification on Facebook that these remains were found. I don't know if the remains were of one person or two people. But it's not a good sign. It is not a good sign at all. But as time went on, it's become more unlikely that these kids are alive. And I already said that. I already shared what the Ouija board told me. The Ouija board told me that these kids aren't alive. With these, with the human remains found at the property, it's not a good sign. It's not looking good. It's not looking positive at all. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens in the next few hours, in the next day. But it's very, very shocking, and it's very disheartening, and it's very frightening, and it's quite horrific. Like I said, as time has gone on, the likelihood of these kids being alive has been very, very decreased. The longer time goes on and you don't hear from somebody, the more likely it is that they're not around. Tylee is a teenager, and surely she would have a phone, she would have a device, she would have many various means of communication. The fact that she hasn't communicated with anyone for weeks or months, that's just not right. Unless she would be held against her will. What teenager who is fun, who likes to socialize, would go off the radar for that length of time without contacting anyone in her family just never made any sense. It doesn't make sense anyway. It's very frightening. But, you know, the likelihood of them being alive, even if the remains turn out to be somebody else, I think the likelihood of these kids being alive is becoming lesser and lesser. Like I said, I uploaded a video on the 2nd of June, 2020, and I said the Ouija board told me that these kids are no longer around. And I might not have been completely right on where they were or where they are, although Idaho does have a lot of woodland. It does have a lot of trees. It does have a lot of grass. It does have water and creeks and stuff like that. So the Ouija board wasn't too wrong on that either. The Ouija board, when I asked if, you know, where are the kids, where are Lori's kids, that was what I asked specifically. The Ouija board went straight to no. I mean, normally it kind of hovers around something and then it goes to an answer. But the Ouija board went straight in the direction of no. So, you know, let's wait and see what happens. I don't want to accuse anyone of anything unless I know the truth, unless I see the results. I don't like to say this has happened because I don't like to accuse anyone of anything unless I have really good, solid proof. But it's looking very shady, and it's looking very frightening, and it's looking very concerning. And I thought that Chad Daybell should have been arrested a long time ago. I don't know why they didn't arrest him a long time ago. You have two adults who are supposed to be guardians of two children, underage children. Yes, Tylee is an older child. She's a teenager. She's almost grown. But the fact is she's still a child by law. And the fact that they got married, they didn't have their kids at the wedding. The fact that when they went to get the property in Hawaii, they said that they don't have any kids. The fact that the kids had not contacted anyone and they were nowhere to be seen, that was all very, very frightening. And that was all very suspenseful. And it was also very unlikely that these kids could be alive without anyone hearing a word from them. So, like I said, we all have to wait and see what happens. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but I've always said that the longer the time goes on that these kids are not found, the more likely it is that they're not on this planet anymore. And I'm very, very shaky at the moment. I don't know if you can hear my voice is actually shaking, because it's like when you don't know something, you're kind of in limbo. But, you know, the truth of the matter is that this situation needs to be solved, and it should have been solved a long time ago. You can't go weeks and months and make it up to a year without finding out what happened to these kids. It was vital that these kids were found, whatever state they're going to be found in. It is vital that these people are investigated and brought to justice. It's truly disgusting that they've been able to get away with all these things that they've been doing, that I think they might have been doing. And it's truly disgusting that they haven't been made to answer. I believe that there has been at least one murder in the story of Lori and Chad Daybell. I don't believe all these deaths and disappearances are just a coincidence. But anyway, let's wait and see what happens.